Because when you think about the MVP now and guys like Jokic and SGA winning it or competing for it, you have to do something historic. Like we're at a time now in the NBA where if you're not doing something historic, combined with the narratives and all that stuff that goes into the NBA voting, you're not going to win.
We are going to do something similar to, I guess, a start bench cut. MVP odds, Ant, SGA, and Jokic. Out of these three guys, who do you guys think has the best chance at getting an MVP this season?
So we're all
Damien,
cutting
what?
We're all cutting Ant, right?
I don't know.
We're all cutting who, Mars?
Ant.
We're all cutting Anthony Edwards. Like that should be unanimous.
Well, we should cut everybody because Luka's getting MVP this year. So if we're going, if we're going to do it that way, Mars, you know what I'm saying?
But I was just doing it as in like we all know Ant has the lowest odds.
He does have the lowest odds.
I feel like that's
Chill, but chill. I feel like you're thinking differently. So you start.
The reason why is because I'm thinking about the leap that I saw last year from Anthony Edwards from the 23-24 season to the 24-25 season, and him shooting the basketball, how much better he got as a bucket getter and how much better Minnesota was, right? So then now with this group being what they are and him, quote unquote, being boring in the offseason and working on the stuff that's going to make him even more effective and make him an even a more proficient scorer, that kind of stuff, not just more of a proficient scorer. He does make the right reads. I got to give him credit for that. I mean, I don't like the off the ball stuff, and I'm thinking that that's going to improve. But in terms of a bucket getter, in terms of a slasher, in terms of a guy who finishes at the rim, I'm already on board saying that I think he's going to win the league MVP. I don't think that the odds are as far away as they were a year ago. I think that I do think that the gap will close this season.
So for Ant
do you
to
have
win
Minnesota finishing in Western Conference?
Anywhere between 5 and 7.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
I think.
yeah, there you go. Ant's last.
Yeah. So I think for Ant to win it, and it's a good point swiper, you're probably going to have to be a top 4 seed, and he's probably going to have to average over 30 as a minimum. Because when you think about the MVP now, and guys like Jokic and SGA winning it or competing for it, you have to do something historic. Like we're at a time now in the NBA where if you're not doing something historic, combined with the narratives and all that stuff that goes into the NBA voting, you're not going to win. And we know Jokic is going to have historic numbers again. We know SGA is going to be the number 1 seed again, most likely. My only question would be, can SGA have another historic season? Because unless your name's Michael Jordan or Kobe, similar archetype, it's very hard to. But we know Jokic is going to put up numbers. Now, will they be a top 4 seed? I think so, Denver. The other thing is you don't really get voter fatigue yet after your first MVP. I think Shea's probably got 1 more before he gets voter fatigue, whereas Jokic already has 3. And if Jokic gets his 4th, all of a sudden you're in a very rarefied company where you only have a very few select guys that have got 4 MVPs. So there's all these other things that are going on because I think they're all going to have phenomenal seasons. I just don't think that Anthony Edwards is going to win enough games to be a top 4 seed. So I think it's between SGA and Jokic, but unless SGA can put another historic season together, it's going to be difficult.
MVP is a little bit like Coach of the Year in the sense that it comes down to what the expectation was and how you meet or exceed those expectations. So Anthony Edwards doesn't need to win more games than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to win MVP, in my opinion, right? Jokic doesn't need to win more games than Shai to win MVP. I think it'll come down to how did you meet or exceed expectations. I think the Denver Nuggets are supposed to be better this year. They lost, I believe, the last year numbers. Swiper can correct me if I'm wrong. Last year, they lost their Jokic minutes by 10 points per 100 possessions. In the playoffs, it was close to 30 points per 100 possessions.
Yeah, it
was horrible. The concept of spacing Jokic with the bench has been a theory that the Denver Nuggets have played out, right? Like you had starters like MPJ, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, who can easily floor lift some bench, units. And then you put Jokic with your deep bench units. The problem with that has been those deep bench units feature a lot of players who can't score with them. And so those lineups don't do as well as they could. And it kind of lowers Jokic's like historic numbers to like mortal numbers. So I think this year with Bruce Brown, Peyton Watson, the ascension of Christian Brown, which I think he could push for MIP talks, Aaron Gordon, and I think the advancement of like the swap of MPJ to Cam Johnson, Cam being the better ball handler, better passer, equivalent shooter, but a better movement shooter, really decent basketball player. So if Cam can stay healthy, do a little bit of the floor lifting in the second lineups. Jokic can utilize, probably rack up more assists, pitch aheads to Bruce Brown, etc. I feel like his numbers could be great, and I think they could be like a 68, 67 win team. If they hit 67 and the OKC Thunder hit 69, Jokic will win MVP. It won't matter.
If the Denver Nuggets win 69 games, it's going to be real
67.
difficult to keep the lead.
67.
60, if he wins 60, if the Denver Nuggets win 67 games, considering the landscape of the Western Conference, Moss, you and I have had this conversation about what the Western Conference is going to be.
He
If
can win
the- if the
62,
Denver-
chill. It's a massive improvement over last year. He can win 62. If he puts up 27, 12, and 11, right?
And they
And
win
they-
67 games. They didn't win 65 games. You don't think you're going to be that?
60
Mike, you don't
plus.
think you're going to be that good?
No,
You don't think Denver's gonna be that good?
season? No.
They're gonna get like
No.
55, 57.
Pit knows
At
well
best.
enough. They're
I
not
think-
going to. No way, because they're
I
going to
think
be
they could be a
hot and then they're going to
60
go cold because they're going to stop.
That's not my
playing.
prediction for them. I'm saying if they like the whole concept here is whoever wins more games is going to win MVP, and I just don't think that's. The
I don't
case.
think that's what won it. I think last year it was a 18 game gap that determined that. If it's an 18 game gap, Shade's winning.
What is
MVP.
the most games you realistically think this team could win?
10?
And
Like if they could win 58 if they
think
try.
that's the max.
I mean, they
58's
they could win 60, but I don't think they're even like a. They've never been a 60 win team type of like.
And so
vibe,
why wouldn't they be
ever.
that? But
Things
why
are
wouldn't they
different
be
now,
that,
though.
though? Swipe
Y'all
it.
got a much better
60,
team.
60 it's hard to get 60 wins
60
in
is
the
a
league.
lot of wins for that team.
A
Bro. I'm not
lot,
gonna
yeah.
lie to you because I don't know if their
Once
defense. is
once
gonna be-
Denver know their standing is comfortable,
Secure, yeah.
they gonna be chilling. They just-
This
Yeah.
is a team that pushed OKC
No,
to Game
Jamal's
7,
healthy,
and
but-
the difference here is that Game 7 was in OKC, not in Denver. So if I'm Denver,
Difference was
Diff-
Aaron Gordon and
yeah, the difference was that
and
team was
Mike's
beat
health.
up.
That was the difference.
okay,
Not where
sure.
they played.
And I
Yeah.
think also the difference was that Michael Porter Jr. really was not there that series, and
Because
it
he
was
was also
shoulder
injured.
didn't
He was
work.
injured,
Yeah, his
of
shoulder
course.
didn't work. Yeah.
So
Yeah, but
what I'm saying is, if that game is in Denver, I feel like they're a lot more comfortable. Their role players are a lot more comfortable. They're, the Julian Strathers and the Christian Browns of the world might have played better. So if I'm Denver, there's a vested interest in knowing that I got to go through this team that everyone thinks is unbeatable in the OKC Thunder, and we have proven in a 7-game series that we can beat this team consistently.
Well, Mars,
But
he
Swiper,
means
you-
metaphorically, because obviously they didn't win. the
Yeah,
series,
yeah,
so.
I know.
Right. I get that part. But Swiper,
But I
you're
also
cool.
know that Denver blew a 20-point lead in a home game 7. in
They
20.
did. Remember, only 2
So-
players scored more than 7 points in that game. So
Yeah,
They
so
showed
the
that.
role players played
Including
like
Aaron
trash
Gordon.
and they blew a 20-point lead
So-
at home.
But with that
So,
being
I
said,
don't know.
Oh, I
Maybe
was
they
so
just want to
angry.
be healthy.
ugh.
Yeah, maybe they just want a healthy playoff run regardless of home court.
With that being said, though, Swiper, am I out of line if I think that this Denver team is significantly better than that team that blew that 20-point lead at home 2 years
They
ago?
are.
I think this
They
team
are.
is one.
Yeah, I think this is the best
significantly
Denver
better.
team they've had. I think this is the best.
And
team.
this is a Denver team that won 50 games last year, and they were beat up. They were beat up. and
Fired
they
the
went and did-
coach, fired the GM.
Right. So I
The
think
West
this-
is better
I-
though too, though. Chill. The West also
Even
a lot
if
of teams got better.
You know why? And you know why the West is better? Because we're better. We're one of those teams that
that's
are a
part
lot
of it.
better,
Yeah, that's part of it.
right?
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
better. So because we're better,
100%.
I think this is the most stable. And Swiper, you're a Denver guy. I think this is the most stable this team has been since they won the championship. I think this is the most stable this organization has been. All the gaps that you had the previous year, I feel like they've all been filled.
Not all of them. Most of them.
So
the POA
where-
defense is still going to be like questionable at times, but yeah, most.
but what
of
I think,
Well, you know,
But I
that's,
think-
you can't fix everything though.
yeah, right. I agree.
Go ahead,
I agree.
Damian. Go ahead, Damian.
I was about to say what I think a lot about with this MVP talk is when we look back on NBA history, we don't look favorably on not handing the MVP to the best player in the world. Like we always say that Michael Jordan should have more, that LeBron should have more. And I wonder in 5 to 10 years when we look back at some of these Jokic seasons where
Yeah,
he
of
didn't
course.
win MVP and he's so statistically dominant, will we be okay with it? And I don't know if we will be. And I think
It
I
depends
think
on
the
if he
league
has more championships.
yeah, and I think
Some
the
of us
league has
cry
to
into
be. I
pillows
think we have
every
to be
night about it.
careful. I think we have to be careful with
Myself.
some stuff like this because when Jokic is playing at one of the highest peaks we have ever seen in league history, I think we have to be really careful about not rewarding that. And I think,
But to
and,
be fair,
and
I
if we
think
don't,
Shea, I think Shea,
MVPs.
No,
I think,
no,
but I
no,
think
no.
Shea last year,
I'm
like
talking about-
legitimately,
even with him having
Shea
3
deserved to
MVPs,
win. No, Shea deserved to win.
I think Shea deserved to win. But Mars,
Shea deserved to win, absolutely.
we can also acknowledge that even though I did win the league MVP, I was better the next year after I won that league MVP. It's like, for example, the 21 and the 22 league MVP. Jokic was better than both of them dudes. This Jokic last season, he was better than both of those guys.
Yeah,
the
for
21 dude and the 22
Oh
dude.
yeah.
Yeah, but then
Right?
that
So-
next year though, Joel was balling out of his mind. So
He was awesome though.
Jokic. So that's the thing. Yeah, Jokic played great, but Joel did his thing. I don't think 21 and 22 have anything to do with 23. Also, last year, like Damian just said, SGA was more than worthy of that MVP. So while I think we will look back and have conversations. I don't think we can look back and
I
say,
don't think
"Oh,
Mike.
man,
I don't think Karl Malone should have won though over Jordan. I'm kind of
but
with
just
Damian on that.
just on this one in particular,
Sure.
I don't think we'll be able to look back and say that. I think we can obviously, definitely, and rightfully so. Fans of Jokic and fans of Denver, this isn't no shot. I'm saying they rightfully should be upset if you're thinking from like a fan base standpoint. But
Sure.
I think fans of SGA and just fans of basketball can accept that. Yeah, you might have got better, but so did other players. SGA absolutely deserved that MVP last year.
Sure.
And while I have said that maybe the Joel one was a little shaky, Joel was worthy of that MVP as well. You know what I
And
mean?
I think
technically
it-
More
and I
than
think
that,
Shea-
but we'll let it slide.
Yeah,
for
technically Derrick Rose was deserving of his MVP too, but I think
Well, they robbed
historically,
Demar Stoudemire, but whatever.
but historically the way we look at it though, to be fair, and if they do win a championship this year, for instance, and Jokic is 4 MVPs in a 6-year span, so 4 MVPs, 2 championships in a 6-year span, then yeah, like when we look later on, then yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going to feel, especially 24, 25, like you average 29.6 and 13 and 10 and 2, and you shoot 50, 44, 80 or whatever, or 6, I don't know, 58, whatever it was, I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean, I think you will look at it differently, but I will say, I think SGA, so the GM poll just came out. The GMs of the NBA team, which is 30 GMs, they said 67% think Jokic is going to win MVP. So that would be
2/3.
So I know, but I'm trying to think how many that would be. 19 of them think that Jokic is going to win MVP, and then the rest is split.
20. 2/3.
Yeah,
I think-
Well, I think
Denver
that'd
doesn't
be,
count.
that'd be 70%
19 of the non
of the 30. Yeah, 19
All
of
of
the 30.
the okay.
Of the
Well,
30
but I
and
mean,
up.
with
Yeah.
that
That
being
mean
said,
Denver's
Swiper,
GM didn't vote for Jokic.
And
what-
Swipe, I know you might not feel this way, but I think it's fair to also admit that, you know, for most of these years, Jokic hasn't really been guarding his own shadow. You know what I'm saying? So I think there are people that take that into account. I know his hands were busy. I know. But you know what I mean? He hasn't been guarding his own shadow, and I think people take into account that as well.
And I think Shea.
That's
I think it was important for Shea to go and
That
win
matters, Chill. That matters.
a championship. It was
But
important for
does
Shea
it
to go and
though?
win it.
Does it?
Of course it
Does
matters.
it really? Because
Well, he guards,
should.
he guards other centers. He just doesn't guard the
But
other
not
stuff that people
not
are-
only
other
does he
bigs are
guard
doing.
other not only does he
It
guard
should
other
matter,
centers.
Chill.
I
Oh, we're
think
about to
that
start
I
coping
think
for
that-
Jokic's defense again.
No,
we're
we're
not,
just
Mars.
talking
No,
basketball,
I'm not
Mars. You don't have to do
talking-
that.
no.
every time we
Dang,
talk
Mars,
about
this
this.
I'm just
a little
asking,
early in the
I'm
season for
No,
this, right?
because you know what they're going to
I'm
start
just
yapping
asking
about it.
this
No, Jokic is not a positive defender in the way other bigs are. No,
Swiper
he's
are
not.
absolutely capping for his defense.
Is he a
right now.
positive
I'm not
defender in
capping
the
for
way
his
of being a
defense, but
positive defender?
What
Yeah, he has been
I'm not-
multiple years.
I'm
He
not
said most of the
capping-
time he
Yes.
hasn't been. He
He
has
is
been
a
most of the
positive
I'm
time.
not
defender.
capping for his defense. I'm not. But what I'm
Well,
also
Penn
not
said he's a
doing
positive.
is I don't
Swiper
think
says
that
he
he's.
can't.
Yes,
I don't
he is a
think that
positive
he's
defender.
Then lied to
I don't
you,
think
Mars.
I don't think he's as bad as I think that you look at him, Ox, compared to Olajuwon. I think that
No,
you look
I
at
would
him
never
compared to
do
Jake.
that.
Yes, you do, Ox. Because I
I would
watched
never put him in a Olajuwon conversation. So
That's
no,
the
I would
point,
never do
because
that.
You think because that's the standard for a big guy that's a league MVP that should be playing defense. That's how you look at him. And I don't
Well,
think
everyone should be playing defense. I think that's how it looks.
100%. And
No,
I
'cause
think
that's
Joker
unfair,
does.
Chill. That's
and-
not fair. It's not fair. It's not
but
fair
I-
for me to put Jokic, especially.
You think he's
talking about
awful.
defense.
You
No,
think he's awful.
I just think this whole conversation
yeah,
disingenuous,
Well,
to be
wait,
honest with you.
on defense, hold on, Swiper, because we've heard all that, and I just want to bring it back down to earth real quick.
Sure.
I don't think he's a very good defender. I do not. I have seen Jokic compete before. I have seen Jokic get busy on defense a couple times, but overall, throughout this whole time, especially those early, he wasn't playing a lick of defense. Last season, okay, you got in there a little bit, big fella. I see you. The rim protection, god awful. Other than that, I'm like, okay, look at the big fella playing a little defense, getting in the passing lanes, hands busy, bumping. You know what I'm saying? I like the physicality. But before that, Chill, those first couple MVPs. I mean,
His
chill, that boy
second
couldn't
best
guard the
defensive year
refrigerator.
ever was 21,
That was-
22, though. I'm saying, like, can we just have honest conversation?
No,
though?
no, okay,
Yeah,
maybe,
but in the
maybe,
playoffs, his
maybe,
defense
maybe
is
on
bad
these
against the
charts
Yeah, versus
and
the
numbers
Warriors.
that you're
Well,
looking
first
at,
few games,
but when
and
you're
then they
watching
changed
it, when
it
you're
up, yeah.
watching basketball, Swiper, you know that's not true, bro.
Well,
You know
it
that's not
is
true.
like literally. No, let me. This is what
I
I'm
think
saying,
last year was one of Jokic's worst
Worst.
defensive seasons, regular
Yeah.
seasons. Playoffs,
Yeah.
he stepped up, bro. Regular
and
season.
then
Well,
2022,
that's what Swiper
23.
keeps
So
talking
from
about is the
so in
defensive
Yeah, it was
2020,
about the MVP award, so the
in
regular season.
2021, 22,
Okay, that's fair.
that was probably his second best regular season defensive year. Because I remember the first half of the year. Remember that was the Warriors game, and then it was the game versus Toronto, and then it was the game versus whoever he had the block, the game-winning block at the Pelicans and all that stuff when he was going crazy. And then because the personnel was so bad, and that's why he part of won. Like he was floor raising like crazy. 22-23, regular season started horrible. Then it got really good. Then it got
picked up
horrible.
around December,
And then
then it went
playoffs,
bad
it picked
again.
all up again. 23-24, the whole year, the team was really good defensively, including Jokic. But they just gassed out in the playoffs. They couldn't rebound. 24-25, it was in the grass. Like it was horrific for all the year. And then the playoffs it stepped up. I think
And that's the first time I ever heard you admit that, Swiper.
No, I mean I've said that I feel like I've been very fair about this. I don't think he was good in the regular season. And I think he got very good in the Thunder series. He was good to okay in the Clipper series. The defense was a plus 15 points better in the Thunder series with Jokic. Like that was one of his best series ever. The problem with that you're correct about, Ox, is for a lot of people that look at Giannis or Embiid or Victor Wembanyama, they're saying these are more traditional players at this position. Maybe not Wemby because of the shooting you hate, but you know what I'm saying, the defense.
Right.
These players guard at the rim, and they're all really good at it. Not Giannis right now, but historically. So why isn't Jokic held to the standard that these players are when they're asked to do these things?
Point.
But I think on the other end of this, though, Ox, I think the problem is that like we've gotten so, and maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong, Ox. I do think we've gotten to a point where we're so used to Jokic having these outlandish offensive years and like offensive series, even that we've kind of like have maybe underrated a little bit. Like I think it's a little crazy. Ox, that last year he was like 30 on 67, and he averaged 10 assists, and he also had like 13 rebounds, and I mean and then they were like a 127 offensive rating when he was on the floor. Like that's pretty like mind blowing. But I think we just got used to it a little bit, and I think the defensive stuff it's an issue. Like it's a real issue. They have to be able to help him defensively. He has to be able to work harder. I don't know what it's going to take for Jokic to convince you that he's able to do it. Because I thought in the playoff that you would come around a little bit in the Thunder series, but I know that like he still doesn't look optically like how Embiid would look. So I think that's fair.
Well,
That's a fair
I
criticism.
want
Swiper,
to clear that up, Swipe. It's not about me. You know what I'm saying? Who cares
Sure.
what I think about Jokic's defense?
I care what you think. I do. I care what you think.
Okay.
I care
Yeah,
what
because you're on the platform and you play big.
So
You play the big
I'm not
position
going to
yourself.
minimize.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Right.
minimize what you say, Ox. No.
Well, I'm
I
not
care.
even trying to do that shit. What I'm trying to say is he's out there doing what it takes for him to win basketball games. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he's trying his best to play. So I don't want to downgrade him as a basketball player. I'm just what all I'm trying to do is just point out pretty much what Swiper just said. There are other guys out here, Joel Embiid,
Anthony Davis.
Come on, AD. These guys are really doing it on the defensive end. And so when I just kind of get a little, I don't want to say irritated, but I'll just be like, oh, what? We can't keep pretending like he's playing defense, and it's just he's
Ox,
all
okay.
on
level.
defense.
Hang on,
It's not
Swiper.
that he's not
Can I
playing
please
defense.
say
Pen, just
But
ask
that
Ox a
level.
question real quick. But
Chill,
Ox,
it's
but
bad. Chill, it's bad.
no, you're
Can't hear
muted.
you,
You're
Ron.
muted. You're
Can't hear
muted. We
you,
can't
Ron.
hear
Can't
you
hear
anyway
you, Ron.
because you've
Can't hear you,
been
Ron.
Fellas,
out of bounds.
I hate to have to do this, but I'm gonna steer the conversation back into the MVP
I
talks.
think the chat
but
is
more
crazy, bro.
but-
Like you just
but more-
Bro, I got a good
but
thing
more,
to
but
say,
more,
yo.
but more specifically, I'm
Cut me
sorry,
off,
Pin.
man.
But more specifically, I want to talk a little bit. We talked about SGA. We talked about Jokic. I want to talk about Ant's case for potentially winning
Doesn't
MVP.
have a case.
As we okay. I want to talk about Ant's case for potentially. No, we're steering it to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I'm segueing this by saying, if Ant takes the leap that he said he's going to take, and that me and Chill expect him to take, and once again, let's not act like this is just a bad team.
It's not.
They went to the Western Conference Finals back-to-back years. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for this team to win 60
If
to
they play versus
65
another
games.
injured Warriors team,
60
then they in a Lakers team, then yes, they can do it.
Hold on, right quick. You guys relax. Let me just relax and let me set the table. We're talking about a Minnesota Timberwolves team that is young. They're
Not that
still
young.
getting better. Anthony Edwards can potentially take a step forward. You have Jaden McDaniels who could take a step forward. You have Julius Randle who could play at an all-star level. You have a very good defensive team. You have young guys that can all get better. You're bringing back your coach. Once again, you've went to the Western Conference Finals back-to-back years. I think this team is prime to finish top 3 in the West. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for them to even finish first.
But what do you mean by 60 to 65 games?
Exactly.
I
mean, that's
I don't think I'm not. No, once again, I'm not saying, like how Penn said earlier, I'm not saying that they'll win that. I just don't think that it's out the realm of possibility for them to win 60 games and be first in the West. I really don't. With Anthony Edwards, with the defense that they stand on, we talk about Houston standing on defense. We talk about OKC standing on defense. We talk about all these other teams standing on defense. The Minnesota Timberwolves can stand on defense and rely on that to be their driving force. And then you get offense from Anthony Edwards on every night. You get every other game from Julius Randle. You get Jaden McDaniels taking a step forward. I think this might be one of the biggest sleeper teams to win the West next year.
Well, they were.
And with that being said, I think that gives Ant's MVP case of a lot of validity.
So last year, when we had this discussion about the Wolves, I said repeatedly they were a top 5 offense and defense from January to April. They were one of the 5 best teams in the NBA from January to April last year. They are a very good defensive team. They're very sound defensively. Rudy Gobert is still one of the 5 best defenders in the sport, maybe higher. Anthony Edwards shot 40% on 10 threes a game through March. Mike Conley is extremely important to what they're doing. Rob Dillingham can take a leap this year. I think Jalen Clark's a really good defender coming off the bench. Terrence Shannon coming off the bench. They're replacing players they've lost like Nall with those 2 players, and then you add in the fact have Dante DiVincenzo back, and then Julius Randle when they did play when he was healthy last year, they made him an elite starting 5. They have a lot, but the issue is winning MVP for Anthony Edwards. That means you're still going to have to be close to Shea, Jokic, Giannis. That's just gonna be like a mountain.
I just think that
of a hurdle.
I just think that the landscape of this team, I think that they're going to try to get a higher seed. Last year, what were they? The 7th seed?
7, because of injuries when they started the year.
Right, because of the injuries, they get Julius Randle back in the lineup and they go on a run.
Who
At
was
the
the
end,
7th seed? The Timberwolves? They were 6. They were
6. I'm
6.
sorry, Mars. I apologize. So I thought they were the 7th seed. I'm sorry. So they end up getting Julius Randle back the last month and a half of the season, and they had a favorable schedule, and it worked. And they ended up going. They ended up going on that run. But I think that this crew, this season in particular, I think that with losing to Alexander Walker and replacing him with Bones Highland, I think that that's going to be
Jalen Clark. To be fair,
yeah. Well, Jalen Clark. I also think that with Bones Highland, I think that there's going to be more to be desired because I know what Bones is. Bones is one of those kind of players that he's going to come off the bench and it's going to look really good in the beginning, and then he's going to be a negative because there's going to be things where if he's not scoring the basketball, he does nothing else for them. He doesn't help them at all. With that being said, I still think that they could still be one of the better defensive teams in the game. With them being one of the better defensive teams in the game, I think they're going to win a lot of games off of that alone. Now, with that being said, we just talked about the Western Conference being a gauntlet. Ron, I can appreciate the idea of them improving, but to them in the Western Conference to have a 15 to 16 game improvement without making a major move, that means that Anthony Edwards has to get significantly better than what he did last year, which I
not
already
necessarily chill.
Okay,
they got to get better as a unit.
Right, and that starts with my primary ball handler and scorer in Anthony Edwards, which I already saw him do. I did see him go from not even being in the top 10, not being in the top 20, not being in the top 25 in threes last year to leading the league in threes. That's a big deal to be able to do something like that. So now if I'm going to do that, what's the next step? Okay, the next step is, can I be an elite mid-range shooter? Because how much better is that offense if Anthony Edwards is an elite 2-dribble pull-up shooter? I think that they're way better because he does make the right reads.
Can he be in the conversation with SGA for best offensive guard in the league? Luka too.
Sure.
Yes,
I think Steph's still in that conversation.
Well, Steph, Luka.
Today, Mars going on 38 years old. You still think he's that good?
Yeah, I don't care about age the way you seem to. Yes,
but Ron, too.
But
I mean,
Ant can get in that group. Yeah, Ant can get in that group. Go ahead.
But Ron, in the world that you put out, where if Minnesota wins 60 games and they're the number 1 seed, and Ant averages 33 a game, sure, he'll be in the MVP conversation. He'll be right up there. For that to happen, I think it's unlikely. Like to Chill's point, they haven't made any major moves. I think they're a genuine playoff team. I just don't think Ant's going to put up historic numbers like the Jokic's or the SGA's will put up. That's all. But I think to Swiper's point, he can definitely take a leap, not necessarily win MVP, but still be in the conversation with Luka and Steph and SGA as one of the best guards in the league, if not the best, depending on his year.
I do want to throw this
think
out
Anthony
too.
Edwards he's incredible, Ron. Like he's
He's
my
unbelievable.
favorite.
Yeah.
He's my favorite two guard in the league, like by far. So I would love to see a world where he gets. But Ron, can you admit though that even for you think Giannis is like best in the world, right?
Yeah.
So Giannis is going to be on a top 6 seed probably next year. His numbers are going to be wild. Luka's going to go crazy next year. Just those two alone. I mean, bro, that's a big hurdle to get over.
No, for sure. And my push isn't necessarily an Anthony Edwards push in this conversation right now. It's more so a Minnesota Timberwolves push. Now, granted, I know that they made some trades, but 2 years ago, don't forget this team was a game away from finishing first in the Western Conference, and they won 56 games. Granted, they had Cat. Okay. They trade Cat for Julius Randle. Last year, they win 49. Remember, though, last year, it was a lot of shuffling, and they were trying to figure it out. It took them a second to all get on the same page. They figure it out. Come playoff time, we make a run to the Western Conference Finals. They look a whole lot better. So my thing is, now that they've played a year together, now that they've gelled, now that they know what to expect, I think we're going to see a lot better team, and I could really see the Minnesota Timberwolves steamrolling through the league. Now, obviously, you have teams that, it's going to be tough on a night-to-night basis when you play your
Oklahoma
OKCs.
City next. This season coming up, they Oklahoma City.
Well, I think they could be something eerily similar to that.
Oh, boy.
I'm not saying that they'll be as good at.
I don't mean the style of play. I just mean like the result is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because it's like with how young they are. And with what their floor should
young,
be,
bro.
With
They're
how
a little bit
young
older
they are,
than you realize.
I think Conley's never looked worse.
Remember, Conley, Gobert, Rudy.
Well, they have
not
Nas,
Rudy.
McDaniels, and Ant. That's their young.
That's their young core, and then
you have
Jalen Clark and
Jalen
Terrence. But
Clark
then
and-
Randall, Rudy Gobert, and then Conley are like
Terrence Shannon. I'm a little higher on Dante DiVincenzo, but I'm a little higher on what's his name on
Rob Dillingham.
point guard Rob Dillingham. So I'm saying like they have a bunch of guys that I believe can play on a night-to-night basis, like OKC. A bunch of young guys that are not going to really be load managing and stuff like that. And so I just think that their floor is really high, and their floor is higher than a lot of team ceilings. So that's just how I feel about it.
I think they can
they've
be
got a high
good.
floor.
I'm
gonna
gonna
be good,
steer away from I'm gonna steer away from the MVP stuff. I just don't think that's gonna happen. But I think the Timberwolves' biggest strength is that they're one of the few teams in the West that are going into next season with continuity, pretty much leaving off where they left off. They didn't really make any big acquisitions. They just kind of drafted their rookies. They lost in the kill, but like they didn't really lose or gain anyone that's like really going to add to their rotation. I don't think Bones is going to play that much. I just think he's going to.
You say you don't think they lost?
Well, I think they lost. I think losing the kill matters, but when I'm talking about continuity, I think having Julius Randle for a full season, fully ingratiated, is more impactful to their regular season success than the kill. Than losing the kill is. I think having Dante DiVincenzo for a full season is a big deal. So I think their biggest strength, and this is only going to matter in the first couple months or till like December. If they start the season poorly, this strength doesn't mean as much to me. But if they start the season and they go 16-4 because they have that continuity while the rest of the West is having to implement Cam Johnson, or Houston having to implement Kevin Durant, or Golden State having to implement Al Horford and stay healthy and be old and all of that stuff, or the Clippers having to implement and load manage Kawhi and get through the regular season that way. That's where their biggest strength is going to. Are they going to have a bigger? I still don't think they're going to be better than OKC. I think OKC have the number 1 seed wrapped up, assuming health. But the second seed, if they're able to get off to a flying start, that's their way to get the 2 seed, in my opinion. If they start slowly or they start fine, it's like they're 11-5, they're a good defense, the offense is cool, then it's like, yeah, then they're probably just going to be a 4, 5, 6 seeds. But if they get off to a flyer, then I can see them really pushing on. So the start of the season, I think.
Well, they have 8 starters again. So that was their blueprint last year. They had basically 8 players that could start. So Terrence Shannon would be the addition to that, essentially,
Yeah.
with Rob Dillingham, or not Rob.
Yeah,
so it'd be Dante and
you'd have to
Nas.
assume him or Jalen Clark are like
Yeah.
really valuable rotation pieces. So and Rudy's been declining like the last 2 years. Like he's
Yes,
getting
he
worse,
has.
which I think is noticeable and very important. Randall, who I think has come off one of the better years and postseasons he's had. Jaden McDaniels, Nas Reed, that's 5. DiVincenzo's a starting caliber player. Then it's how do you feel about Mike Conley at this point of his career? I'm not.
Well,
the
he's
highest
starting.
on
He
Mike
has to
Conley
start
anymore.
Yeah.
He's gonna start, but do I think he's a starting caliber player? I don't know. I don't think Mike Conley had a really good year last year at all. Is Dillingham ready to come in and be a meaningful, impactful player? I don't know. Terrence Shannon, I'm optimistic about. Jalen Clark is someone who I like his defense and I like his shooting ability.
Yeah.
So
about
they got
Joey
like
Lonzo?
7 guys who I really like. They got a couple question marks.
What's the
that
white
can
boy
go
name?
either
The
way.
backup big.
The
Zakarski.
one they just
Zakarsky.
got, Zakarsky.
Yeah,
And he's Aussie, by the way.
Yeah, he
I'm-
can
Yeah,
play.
he's huge. Yeah, he's huge.
I'm excited to
and,
see who they drafted too. I think his name's Joan Behringer.
Yeah.
They
John
drafted
Berenje.
Zakarsky and Berenger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked good. He showed some flashes in the summer league. He might not even crack the rotation.
He's playing well in
But
preseason, too.
he look is he? Well, see, he looked very good as just a guy that can really like do the big things.
He's
Rebound,
intriguing.
block
He's
shots.
got a lot of
Dunk.
tools. He plays hard. He runs the floor fast as hell. He gets up for blocks. He'll try and contest everything. He'll crush the glass. He does all of the little things. It's about does he understand the game and does he have like the actual skill set to be impactful at the next level. But I don't know how much I don't know how much anyone in the West who's really contending can afford to run out 19-year-olds and like actually hope for them to be impactful right away. Like that's just a tough thing to
How old is
ask,
Topic?
especially in this. Well, he has
He's hurt
he's
4 to 6
20,
weeks.
now.
21. But
Okay.
he's out right now, but
21,
he's
yeah.
20, 21.
Zakarski's
But yeah, it's
7'3",
just
by the
tough.
way.
Hey, Donovan Clingan, he'd be
he's
rotation
huge.
player everywhere.
I
I've heard
agree.
some stuff about Zakarsky that maybe moves me off of him a little bit. I was very high on him a year ago, but he didn't.
Where'd he go to
crack.
school, Penn?
Where did he go to school?
Yeah, I don't.
He played overseas. He played
I
in
think
the
he
NBL.
played for the Bullets, right? If I'm not mistaken. Damien?
He
Brisbane?
didn't play a whole.
Did he play for
lot of minutes
Brisbane?
over there.
Played for Brisbane, right?
Yeah, he did. He was in Brisbane. Yeah.
So he didn't really crack
Okay.
the rotation.
Well, I
And
saw him in the preseason, and I had never seen him before.
he's very impressive. Like
Yeah.
for a person.
And
that
said
size,
and said he's been impressive in camp as well.
he's-
I had him as a lottery pick a year ago, and then
Right.
everything kind of went
So
left.
here's the thing: for a player at 7'2", 7'3", he is extremely
Why
coordinated.
are these
He
kids
has
so
very high
tall,
motor.
bro?
Here's what I like about him, and this is what appealed to me a year ago. He's very nasty. He's got a lot of attitude, and I love that in my bigs. That he got a lot of like dog in him, right? For an 18-year-old kid to be coming out there and even playing at all is good. The bulk of their rotation has played less than 5 years of NBA minutes. I think this entire season comes down to whether Rudy Gobert is washed or how quickly he's going to get washed. Like what is the regression rate of Rudy Gobert? 1. 2, is Mike Conley serviceable, or do we have to explore possibly putting Ant at the 1 and maybe moving Terrence Shannon to the 2? Like, I don't know if Terrence Shannon ready to play or Dante DiVincenzo. These are playmaking wings that can at least do some playmaking stuff for you. We just saw a team win without a traditional point guard. Maybe there's a consequence to going small that you can mitigate by going big. And if Ant can get better processing the court, something that I often find myself saying about Shea as well, I think they could maybe run some Ant at 1 lineups if Rob Dillingham isn't ready to play. This entire season is going to come down to me to Gobert and Julius Randle, like those two. If they
Julius
can-
was going crazy to end last
Well,
year.
now he's been
dog.
paid, and and like Rudy Gobert, he is north of 30, and you know how I feel about players over 30. The regression is coming. It's just a matter of time. If it's LeBron, it's coming in 15 years. But if it's DeMar DeRozan, if it's a normal person, it could be coming sooner than you expect. So I don't know if Julius Randle can still be.
Hey, Jamar Roden had his best year of his life in 2021 when he was like 31. So
That is
to
true.
to be fair,
That is
third
true.
team All NBA. Well, Mark, what was it? 7 straight 35-point games. for DeMar? Like in
He was
that?
in Chicago.
Yes, and
But
he was
was
getting
that
like all
better than
NBA looks.
20?
Yeah, and he had the
17,
back-to-back game winners.
Yep,
and-
yeah.
I shouldn't have said DeMar. I should.
Matter of fact, Mars, let me tell
should
you,
have
I
picked
put
better
DeMar
example.
DeRozan that year at 17 on my player list. People was pissed at me. I had Tatum
Nah,
ahead
DeMar,
of KD
DeMar
that
was
year.
hooping in 22.
Bro,
Yeah, he
people
was
be
hooping.
hating on DeMar. DeMar was going. I was with Ox. Me and Ox would have been twinsy that year. DeMar DeRozan was going nuts.
Yeah, locked up last
You reckon
night.
that was better than
I
17
wasn't
when
DeMar
he averaged
DeRozan
nearly
fan in
30?
2021.
Come on, man, be on my side for once.
I'm always on your side, Spike, but I just gotta tell the truth.
Don't worry,
I
Spike.
didn't like.
You,
I didn't like.
you still
I didn't
got
like
Jordan.
DeMar DeRozan to the. I didn't like DeMar DeRozan until the day we traded for him.
Oh wow.
But
Damn.
all right, Pin. So what's your? I need to hear everybody's predictions and expectations for the Minnesota Timberwolves this year. What you
46
got,
wins.
Pin? 46 wins.
I think they take
Okay.
a little bit of step back because I think Nikhil
Hey.
Alexander Walker was
46
very,
wins. They're
very.
barely making the playoffs with 46 wins, Penn. They're
we
barely
haven't
making
seen-
the playoffs with
we
46
haven't
wins.
seen
They
the-
might not make the playoffs with 46 wins.
Yes, that might not
but,
be good enough.
hold on,
They might
like,
get bounced
if-
in the play-in tournament. with
I
46
think-
Wait, Pin, them or the Warriors? Who are you higher on? Win total was?
them.
One game separated
Damn.
them last year.
Yeah. And by the way, this is how I think Denver and OKC can clip 60 wins. If these other teams are swiping, like there's such
No,
a
I
gap
hear you.
right
I'm
now.
just-
there's
just-
such a gap right now.
But
So-
you know they're gonna when they play versus the Bulls. You know what's gonna happen, bro. Like Matis is gonna look like Larry Bird, and it's gonna
Matis-
be a fraud session. We're gonna come up here the
Matis-
next day like, oh man, Matis had 45 versus the Nuggets. Like, are you sure they're contenders? I'm like,
over under on how soon Matas Buzelis is the best player on the Bulls? 2 years.
2 months.
Maybe.
Yo, but
When's
Pin,
that first game?
Hey,
Wow,
ain't better
this
than
is
Josh
cold.
Giddey, sorry. Ain't
Hey,
better than
hey,
Josh
Pin.
Giddey, sorry.
Pin, I think the Wolves have a better track to 60 wins than the Nuggets. I'm not saying they're a better team. Keep in mind, we're talking about the regular season, and Swiper brings this up all the time. He actually is the one that's brought this to my attention. The Nuggets are they're going to play the field. They're going to play the game for the regular season to get to the postseason healthy. I don't think the Wolves are necessarily going to do that. I think it's just a full-on sprint for the Wolves. Because it's like my best player is 23, 24, 23? I don't know exactly how old Ann is. And once again, we have a lot of young players. Nas Reed, Jaden McDaniels, even young boy that we just mentioned. They got Terrence Shannon, Jalen Clark. They're just a young team that's ready to go.
As high as I
So
am
with that-
on a
so-
lot of
so-
their young rotation, they're not very good.
Who?
Like I think, like hold on, like I just said like the bulk of their roster has played less than 5 years. Of those players, Alize Johnson, Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards, Bones Highland, Johnny Zuzang, Leonard Miller, Jules Bernard, Zion Pullen, Tristan Newton.
You're
Enrique
mentioning a
Green.
lot of guys that aren't going to play, though.
Bingo. That's what I'm saying. You're banking on health because you lose Nikhil Alexander Walker. Terrence Shannon, you're expecting a lot from Terrence Shannon and Rob Dillingham to replace some of what you've lost between Nikhil and Mike Conley's regression. A lot of winning is being carried by Rudy Gobert's incredible defense. I promise you, as much as the
That's
talk
a
shit
fact.
about his offense,
That
he
is a fact.
contributes to winning in such a major way. And the minute he's not that on defense, you're going to really start to pay attention on the offensive end. And he is an awful basketball player on the offense.
Really quickly, Ron. So I want to run down something for you because Mars, you talked about jumping out the box. This is their first 15 games. Portland, yes or no?
Win.
Maybe.
Lakers,
Loss.
yes or
Someone
no?
opening that.
Win.
I think
Pacers.
2-0.
Win.
Win.
3-0.
Denver. At
Loss.
Denver.
Who's at home?
Just for the.
at Denver.
Nope.
Let's say Denver.
Okay.
4-0. All right.
Are they playing Lakers? Are they playing
wait.
Lakers?
I'm sorry, Moss. I'm sorry, Moss. At home, they got Denver at home.
I got them 4-0 right now. I got them 4-0.
Okay, they got the Lakers coming in 2 nights later at home.
They're not
Also
gonna
they
win
lose
both of
that
those
one.
games. So
Okay,
Yeah,
so
4-1.
where are we right now? So we're
4-1.
1-1.
at Charlotte.
5-1.
Whoa. Where's the
Bro-
defense at? Where's the defense at? Start the year off though. Let's be clear. Charlotte could go off. Brandon Miller playing?
5-1. 5-1.
Come on.
I got them 5-1.
Okay. So we're at Charlotte. Okay, 5-1. Then we're at Brooklyn.
6-1.
Then we're at the Knicks.
Porter? That's tough.
I'll say right now they're
6-2.
6-2. I'll say they're 6-2.
6-2. Okay, Mars. Okay, then we got Utah at home.
Who's all playing?
7-2. 7-2.
You
Man,
might as
you
well
don't wanna
give
think-
them
you don't wanna think at
3
all.
wins for what they're going to do to Utah.
We got Sacramento at we're in Sacramento.
8-2.
W win.
No, they
8-2.
inset. What they inset? Man, that beam gonna be lit.
8-2.
8-2.
Oh, let's y'all bring the cowbells back out. 8-2.
Cowboys is crazy.
Okay. Then the next night we're in Utah. Then we're in Utah.
9-2.
In Utah? No. In Utah? No. Is that a back-to-back?
Yes. The next.
That's the
night
worst
we're in
back-to-back in the NBA. So I know.
I know because of the altitude. 9-2.
No, I'm not counting that. I'm not counting
Okay,
that.
so 9-2.
9-2.
So we got 4 days off, and we don't play Sacramento again until Friday. They come into our building.
10-2.
We got Denver. We got Denver the next night in our building.
I say 10-3.
11-2.
11-2. You got to beat Denver both times, Morris?
Denver don't beat the
Well, they've had freak things happen in the last year. So, I mean,
11-2.
But Marge, we play really good.
But if they
against
start
Timberwolves.
11-2,
did you take that into account?
They're not starting 11-2.
11-2.
They're not starting 11-2.
They're not starting 11-2.
Two nights later, we got Dallas in town.
All right, well, Ron, you might be on to something. They might win 67 games.
12-2.
Hold on. Stay with me now.
Mars
Two
is so
nights later, we got Dallas in town.
12-2.
The next night, 2 nights later, we got Washington in town.
13-2.
That's 15
Best
games.
case scenario.
They're not
best case
going.
sce-
They're not
Yeah,
going 13.
This is the thing.
This
These
season.
prediction things, like, because they're gonna end up losing to Brooklyn. It's gonna be like, oh my god.
No, they are. It's going to be one of
Yeah,
those.
it's like
It's gonna be
I'm
more like
saying
12-3,
13-2.
11-4.
Utah. They're not gonna be
Why
12-3.
not
Realistically-
be Brooklyn and Utah?
Wait,
It could be
wait,
us.
wait. Didn't you
Yeah,
hear
but,
what?
but that's my point. Like,
That's
it's
it.
easy to just
Didn't-
say, oh well, they're favored in this game or whatever. Like, realistically, after 15 games, I'd probably expect them to be about 11-4, 9-6.
They're not
like,
They'll be
somewhere
9-6.
around
Which,
Wait a
which is
second.
still good.
That's right.
11-4 is
That's
amazing.
fine. Like, I was just going through.
Didn't you hear what?
kinda
Didn't you
having
hear
fun
what
with it.
Anthony Edwards
But
said?
like,
He said
realistically,
against
they'll
these
probably be
bad
like a
teams.
9-6, 11.
We got to
He
be
He wants to
said,
win and get his
against these
MVP
bad
numbers.
teams, against these bad teams, I'm just
I'm
going to
getting
try to
busy
set
against
scoring records. I'm going to try to beat my previous scoring record. So that tells me they're not losing to Washington, because if Ant puts up 50, they're not losing.
He's trying to put. He's.
Yeah,
he's
for what
he's-
it's worth, I watched
Questionable
Al put up like
comments, by
50
the way.
against the Pistons. And they
That's a fact. Hey, but
That's-
fellas,
Damien,
And I'm not saying the
that's what I
Pistons or the
said.
Wizards,
That's what I
but
said.
what I'm saying
What
is,
are you talking about, Ant?
I know,
Like, all
what's-
playing bad teams, I'm going to try to score a whole bunch. You're
To
going
keep
to shoot your
yourself
team. You're going to
motivated,
shoot
the
your
game
team
is
out the
a game.
game.
Also,
That's what you're
trying
going
to
to
score a whole bunch doesn't mean you're going to succeed at trying to do
It's a
that. Like,
ridiculous thing to say.
Exactly. You're going to shoot your team.
Wait,
out the
didn't
game.
they lose?
Zach-
They lost
Zach
to Charlotte
LaVine
last
gonna
year when
bust
Cat
your
had
ass.
62, right?
fellas, I got to get to these super chats
yeah, that was
before
a-
That was 2 years.
before I get to these super chats. Penn, you gave your prediction. Chill, I think we heard a little bit from you. I want to hear the rest of you guys' predictions. Can you please give a quick prediction on what you think that the Minnesota Timberwolves will do this year? Damien, what you got?
50-ish, 50 around 50 wins somewhere between the 6th and the 8th seed.
Okay.
Damn.
Damn, you think the 6 seeds 50 games? All right, big eyes.
Sixth seed last year was 49. So
Okay.
I know they're going to be better than the Rockets. So I could see Minnesota probably 3, 4, 5 seed around that range. Yeah, around that range. I don't know exactly how many wins. Like, I know y'all keep throwing out like the amount of wins each team is going to have. I'm not really willing to do that. I don't know if it's going to be high in the West or, kind of everybody being around 45 to 57.
yeah, it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So on top of that, I do think there are teams like the Swiper's point, teams like the Nuggets that understand it. Like, seeding isn't going to be too important because you can stay out of that playoff. Anywhere in the top 6 doesn't really matter because a lot of these teams are going to be around the same caliber of basketball team. So I'm gonna stay that. I'm gonna go with the 3 seed. I'm gonna go with the 3 seed for the Wolves. I'm gonna stick with that.
And just
All right,
quickly to your
Swiper.
point, Ox. Just quickly
Go
to your
ahead,
point, Ox.
Damien. You got it.
OKC were the only outlier. So between Houston that finished 2nd and the 8th seed was only separated by 4 games. So it doesn't like exactly to your point exactly.
I think preseason I had them 5th. So 5th.
We gotta have some separation, man. We do. Because I'm looking at Oklahoma City. They won 68 games. Then 52, 50, 50, 50, 49, 48, 48. We gotta have some separation somewhere if this Western Conference is gonna be the gauntlet that
Why?
we think it's gonna be.
It would be the opposite, wouldn't it be?
Last year was
Everybody,
historically
there are so
close.
many good teams, and
I
the
think
record.
I think everyone being so close is why it's such a gauntlet. Like, This is why
There are
every
gonna be
time you
injuries,
guys
too.
start listing off the teams and the wins, it's like
everybody can't win
you
55
can't have
games.
all these 55 win teams. Like, there's only so many
everybody
wins
can't
in the
win
NBA
50.
that exist.
Yeah,
Like, you
everybody
can't
can't
just
win
magically
55
give
games.
6 teams 55 wins. Like, you can't just
unless all the East teams win no more than
unless you're
Exactly.
literally saying the East, like the 4 seed is going to win 38 games or something.
And it's not going to
Like,
happen. No, the East
That
is
doesn't
already-
happen.
When we
That
get
doesn't
it, when we start doing the Eastern Conference division, I think people are going to realize that the East isn't as bad as people are saying it is. Like,
No,
it's
no,
not
it's
close to the
not.
West. The West is way better. The West is better, but the East has some legitimately good teams. So, like, we can't just have all of these Western Conference teams winning all of these games. Like, it's not going to logistically work because
Okay.
they're going to be beating each other, and then they still got to play some of the Eastern Conference good teams. So, like, I would expect to see teams in the 47 range. Yeah, that might be enough for the 8 seed, which is still a lot of wins, 48 wins. But like expecting, you need 52 wins to get in the playoffs. I don't think that's going to be the case.
I think you're going to see some
doesn't
decent
make sense.
playoff teams from the East go to the West and go like 1-6 on a West Coast road trip. Like it
You
can
mean
happen.
like Cleveland did last year? Like Cleveland did last
Cleveland
year?
about to get
Right.
dog walk in the West, bro.
It definitely can happen. And what
See,
I'm saying,
Swipe, I'm
is
not listening to that.
They-
They
Because
could
we
be
did the
taking
same thing.
turns.
Dallas.
We did the
No, we
same
didn't.
thing with Indiana. Yes, we did. We did the same
Yo.
thing with Indiana last year when the final started. Not
Indiana
one of
was
us-
getting Indiana was getting dog walk too. They
We
were
did-
getting smacked.
We didn't have them going by 5 games with that Oklahoma
Indiana
City
was
team.
getting smacked on in
No,
the
no,
regular
no,
season by
chill.
West team.
You didn't.
Neither
for
did
yourself.
you, Ron.
Joe, when you take the
Oh,
top
you're right, because
four-
I had the Pacers in 5.
Oh no,
If you
I
take
forgot about
the-
that.
the
take
Cavs went 23-7 against the West last year, and the Celtics went 22-8. So
No, they did. Yeah,
Okay.
they did. I'm talking about the
and
top
the
of the
Pacers
West.
went
Celtics
21-10.
had
So why would the Cavs get dog walk this season, Ron? I mean, this season's
Why will they get dog walk?
when they're
Swiper?
better?
Because they gonna run into OKC. Donovan Mitchell averaged 9 points a game in that two games.
That's
That's
one-
what happened.
Okay,
One-
OKC giving
And then
problems. OKC giving
and then
problems.
this year versus a non disease ridden Denver team. They gonna get walked in Denver at least. And then they fired their GM and head coach. Yeah, that's a disease. And then versus the Wolves, versus the Wolves, they gonna run into that hey, chill. They're gonna run into the ant hammer in Minnesota. That's the first thing. And then what's Steph Curry gonna do? Steph Curry, Darius Garland on an island? Wait, hold on, chill, real quick. Chill. Hold on. Answer this question.
No, I'm not holding on.
I'm asking you a question.
No, I'm not listening to you.
Let's just listen. Wait, so the Warriors with Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Podzimski, Draymond Green, and Al Horford. Are they beating that team?
They can beat the Warriors. Yes, they can beat the Warriors.
Oh, you
The
mean
Cavs can beat the
you mean-
Warriors. What are we talking about?
Why can't
The
the
Cavs
Cavs
can
beat
beat
that
the
Warrior
Warriors.
team, Swiper?
Fellas,
Explain that to me.
I'm about to grab the
You
wheel.
want to see what a real demon look like at guard? Let me show you Steph Curry.
Mars, what are your
They said
expectations
Steph
for
had
the
a down
Wolves?
year last year. He was better than Donovan Mitchell.
I expect them to be between the 3 and 7 seed. That's where I expect them to be.
All
worst
right.
case scenario, 7 seed. Best case, 3 seed.
Got it. So I say I'm the highest on the Wolves. I think the Wolves are a lock to be a top 3 seed, but we'll just have to see.